The night was cold, a sharp bite in the air that made the steel beams of the Homeland Security headquarters shimmer under the streetlights. Inside, the building was a labyrinth of high-tech security systems, encrypted data, and armed personnel. It was a place where secrets were kept and lives were protected. For the men and women working there, it was just another Tuesday night, the kind that always stretched long into the dark hours. But tonight, something was about to change. Jake Hawk Walker was no stranger to danger. His record in the military was impeccable. He'd served in the most hostile parts of the world, being deployed in places where every breath was a gamble. He'd earned his nickname, Hawk, during a particularly bloody mission in the Middle East, when his unit had been surrounded, and only his razor-sharp focus and ruthless precision had brought them through alive. After retiring from the military, Jake found his place within Homeland Security, using his skills to hunt down those who threatened the nation. He wasn't just another agent. He was a weapon, cold and efficient. That night, though, his focus wasn't on a national security threat. It was on something much more personal. Jake had been in the office late, trying to clear up the remnants of an operation. He sat in his dimly lit cubicle, hunched over his desk, eyes scanning through reports. He was about to call it a night when his phone rang. The caller ID displayed an unfamiliar number. For a moment, he hesitated. In his line of work, you never knew if an unknown number was going to bring good news or chaos. He answered, his voice steady. "Walker. Is this Jake Walker?" The voice on the other end asked. It was gruff, with the kind of rasp that told Jake this wasn't someone you wanted to mess with. "It is," Jake replied, straightening in his seat. "My name's Taz," the voice continued. "You don't know me, but I know you. You've got some friends in town who think they can take on anyone. I'm calling to give you a heads up." Jake felt the shift in his chest, an instinctual awareness kicking in. The biker gangs. They'd been making a name for themselves recently, stirring up trouble in cities across the country, but they had yet to cross any serious lines until now. "Biker gangs?" Jake asked, his tone becoming sharper. "They're here, in DC, and they're looking for trouble," Taz said. "They've got a plan to take down someone high up. I don't know who, but I'm guessing you've got the intel. You might want to stop them before things go sideways." Jake ran a hand through his short, cropped hair. The tension was thick in his mind. Bikers were bad news, but to mess with Homeland Security? That was a whole new level of stupid. "You sure about this?" Jake asked. Taz's voice softened slightly. "Listen, they're dangerous. I'm just trying to make sure they don't do something you'll regret." Before Jake could respond, the line went dead. He was left with a creeping sense of unease gnawing at him. He knew better than to ignore a tip like that. He grabbed his jacket, fastened his holster, and made his way to the secure elevator that led down into the depths of the building. Time was running out. Outside, the sky had begun to darken further as Jake pulled up to a small, dimly lit bar on the outskirts of town. The parking lot was full of motorcycles, the unmistakable hum of engines filling the air. Inside, the atmosphere was thick with the smell of cheap beer and stale cigarette smoke. Jake's eyes scanned the room quickly. He was looking for a specific target, someone he knew would have answers. That's when he saw them. A group of men, all wearing the unmistakable patches of the Iron Reapers, a notorious biker gang that had been spreading its influence across the country like wildfire. They were clustered around a table in the back, laughing loudly and slamming beers back as though nothing in the world could touch them. Jake wasn't here to play games. He walked up to the table, his boots hitting the floor with a purposeful thud. The laughter died down, and the room seemed to hold its breath. One of the bikers, a burly man with a thick beard and tattoos crawling up his neck, looked up at him and grinned. "Well, well, if it isn't the hero himself." "You lost, soldier?" Jake's voice was ice cold, barely a whisper. "I'm not here to talk. I'm here to end this before it goes any further." The biker's grin faltered. He wasn't expecting that. "You think you can just walk in here and tell us what to do?" The man spat, standing up and getting in Jake's face. "We run this town now, old man. You think you're a big deal? You're just another cog in the system." Jake didn't flinch. He had dealt with worse. His right hand moved slowly to his side, where his concealed weapon rested. "You're messing with the wrong people. You've crossed a line tonight." The biker's eyes narrowed. "What are you gonna do about it, huh? You gonna pull your gun and play hero? I don't think you understand who you're dealing with." Jake didn't give him the satisfaction of a reply. Instead, he moved in a blur, grabbing the man by the collar and slamming him against the nearest wall. The other bikers stood frozen, unsure of what to do, their eyes wide. "You made a mistake," Jake growled, his voice low and dangerous. "And now you're going to regret it." Before anyone could react, Jake's hand was already reaching for his weapon. A flash of steel, and the biker's knife was in his hand, twisted around so fast that the man couldn't even comprehend what had just happened. Jake tossed the knife aside and turned back to face the group, his expression deadly calm. "I gave you a chance. Now, you're gonna walk out of here and never look back." The bikers exchanged nervous glances. They had no idea who Jake Walker was, but it was becoming clear that they had underestimated him. With a final, disdainful glance at the leader, Jake walked out of the bar, leaving the bikers to stew in their fear. Back at the Homeland Security HQ, the atmosphere was electric with tension. Jake had barely returned when the building's alarms blared a warning that the bikers had made their move. They were heading straight for the headquarters. Jake had been ready for this. He'd prepared for a full-scale confrontation, but what he hadn't anticipated was how personal it would become. The bikers were more than just troublemakers. Now they were trying to take down the very institution he had sworn to protect. With a hardened expression, Jake strode through the hallways, his eyes focused. The building's high-tech security systems were designed to fend off any attack, but there was something about this situation that felt different. The bikers weren't just storming the gates, they had a plan. As Jake reached the security control room, the team was already in position, monitoring the breach. He took a deep breath, knowing that this was the moment he'd been trained for. He had been prepared for the violence, the chaos, the madness of war, but he had never been this close to it on home soil. A single message flashed across the screen. "We're coming for you, Walker." The bikers had just made their biggest mistake yet. The line had been drawn, and Jake wasn't going to let them cross it. The following hours were a blur of gunfire, chaos, and tactical maneuvers. Jake led a team of agents through the building, moving like a shadow, striking with precision. The bikers had underestimated him, but Jake was a soldier, trained for moments like this. By the time dawn broke, the gang members had been subdued, their threat neutralized. As the dust settled, Jake stood at the edge of the destroyed headquarters, staring into the horizon. The job wasn't done. But for now, the homeland was safe, and Jake Walker had once again proven why you never messed with the wrong soldier. He turned, heading back into the building, the weight of the night's events pressing on him. The mission was over. For now. But he knew one thing for certain: peace was never permanent. And he was ready for whatever came next.